Welcome to BetterThanJordan.com. It's your boy, Lucrecio, back at you live from the epicenter. Alright. I'm going to talk to you about Carmelo Anthony and his insane contract or whatever, and also what's going on in free agency with, now that LeBron finally dropped where he was going, all the other dominoes, as everybody has been saying, dominoes dropping are going all over the place. So everything is starting to kind of settle into place, and players are starting to find their new homes or their existing homes. All right. So I'm going to talk about Melo first. Now, Carmelo Anthony is a very good offensive player. He's a bully from about the elbow or whatever. When he catches the ball in the triple threat position on the elbow, or what do they call it, the pinch post or whatever, he's absolutely unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. I don't love Melo as a basketball player, though. I hate the fact that he doesn't give enough effort on defense, in my opinion. And I also don't like that he's a ball stopper. When the ball comes to him, you got to keep moving the ball. He seems like he always takes the shot whenever the ball comes to him, even if it's early in the shot clock, which I don't get because you're going to get the ball back anyway. So if I had to choose a superstar in today's NBA and I had about third pick or whatever, I don't think Carmelo would be somebody. Even if I had the fifth pick, I think it would be a stretch to think Carmelo would be the person I would take. So with all that being said, New York, the Knicks obviously feel differently than I do about Carmelo because they offered him a deal worth more than $122 million. The reports are showing that it's actually $129 million over 5 years, which is the absolute max that the Knicks could offer, which makes sense. You knew that they were going to have to pay Carmelo Anthony for him to stay. I don't love it from either side, to be honest. I think the Knicks did what they have to do to keep their superstar. There were reports that they were interested in going after Kevin Durant. I think 2016 or whenever Kevin Durant becomes a free agent. But obviously that has to be out the window now. Obviously they're saying that Carmelo is their star, is good enough to be their star. Interesting, all right? From Melo's point of view, I don't love this decision. Now, granted, it basically came down to three things. It came down to Knicks money. If you want your full max contract or whatever, go to the Knicks. And that's what he did. Another choice was Chicago. I honestly believe had Carmelo went to Chicago next year, they're a championship contender and they possibly win the championship next year. It may take LeBron a little while to get those guys going. Even if they get Kevin Love, it might not stick or blend right away. It may take a season, even if they get Kevin Love. I think this would be a very good time for Carmelo to sneak in there and get him a ring if he was to go to Chicago. That team's ready now. They win a lot of games. They play outstanding defense. There are a lot of rumors that Thibodeau runs his players into the ground with all the practice hours and all that stuff. Maybe, maybe not. But Carmelo and the Chicago Bulls are the answer to each other's problems. All right, they're like the yin yang. The Bulls are an excellent defending team. They have trouble scoring, and when I say trouble, they have trouble scoring. Like sometimes it's painful to watch their offense go and they hit a lot of walls during the course of the game. Their defense is consistent throughout the game. They play good defense. It's hard to score on them all game long, but they get into these areas. It's almost like pouches, air pockets, or whatever. They score a couple possessions and then they just go minutes, like 5 minutes without scoring, 7 minutes without scoring. Sometimes I saw a game when they played the Heat last year. They were playing with the Heat. It was a good, matchup game or whatever. In the fourth quarter, I think it was from about minute 10 to about minute 4, they didn't score a point or something. Obviously, the time isn't exactly there, but it was some ridiculous amount of time where they did not score a point. And you can't do that. You can't win like that. Carmelo cures that off the back automatically because he can score. All he has to do is get to his spot on the court, catch the ball in the triple threat position. He can score. You don't need to run a play necessarily. He could score off of isolation. He can score off the dribble. I mean, he can score. If that's one thing Carmelo can do, he can score on the post, whichever way you want to threes, whichever way you want to put him on the court, he can score from it. All right, he solves their problem, and then they're a good team defense. Their defense isn't necessarily based off of individual defenders, even though they have some good individual. Taj Gibson is a real good individual defender. Noah, Jimmy Butler as well. But the Chicago Bulls are able to cover people who aren't necessarily as good defensively. I didn't think DJ Augustine, and I could be wrong, I didn't think DJ Augustine was that great of a defender. But as you can see, it didn't really show as much because, their team defensive schemes are strong, all right? And they would cover Carmelo. And I think they would actually make Carmelo work a little bit more on defense, which would make him a better defender anyway. So I believe that was the best fit. The problem with that is supposedly he was losing out on $50 million. I don't know, because he could get 129 from the Knicks. He wasn't going to be able to get that from the Bulls or whatever, obviously. I think that's about it. I think you have to go to the Bulls. I know you don't want to leave money on the table, but there's ways around it. I feel like if he pulled what LeBron did, and I'll discuss that a little bit later, sign a short-term contract and then re-up, opt out, re-up, re-sign the contract, and then you can get a longer contract. I don't understand why you re-sign with the Knicks if you're Carmelo. I would have done the Bulls, but whatever. And Lakers, if you wanted, the more limelight or whatever. I didn't really think the Lakers were that much of an option. Carmelo and Kobe don't seem like they fit together to me. It just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But supposedly they were a big factor, whatever. All right. Melo made the wrong decision. Knicks made the wrong decision. Second rounding out team for the next 4 years. Maybe first rounding out a couple times. Not impressed. I don't see, and the Knicks missed out on Paul Gasol too. So I really don't see what the Knicks expect to do. And everybody's talking about 2015 free agency. LaMarcus Aldridge is not coming. Kevin Love won't make it to free agency unless they're talking about Rondo. Unless they know something that I don't know about Rondo, and that he's automatically coming to the Knicks. I don't really see what they're doing there, but whatever. Moving on to Chris Bosh. 5 years, $118 million from the Miami Heat. This was insane. I was not expecting Chris Bosh to re-sign with the Miami Heat. I actually thought he was for sure in Houston. As soon as LeBron left, they were talking about the deals finalizing in Houston or whatever. 4 years, $88 million. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Miami offers this monster contract to Chris Bosh, $118 million, 5 years. That fifth year makes a huge difference. I consider it a panic contract. I think they panicked. They're like, oh, crap. We can't fall apart. Now that LeBron left. So they offered him, they shot for the moon, and they offered him the whole enchilada, the full max, which is insane. But, well, it's not that insane. Chris Bosh is worth a max contract. But I think it was just how it was done. It seemed like it was in full panic mode. Just insane. They almost didn't have a choice, though. They had to sign him, or else they were going to lose him to the Rockets. It was that simple. The Rockets were going to take him, and the Rockets would have been. I still think they would have been third in the West, though. I think that move makes them surpass the Clippers. I don't know that they overtake OKC, and they certainly don't overtake the Spurs by adding Chris Bosh or whatever. The Spurs are just too steady. Paul Gasol has agreed to terms with the Bulls. They didn't announce the amount of years or whatever, but they said the contract is going to be starting off at $6.5 million next year. The Bulls got Paul Gasol 2 years too late. I thought, 2 years ago, when Derrick Rose was still playing, I thought Paul Gasol would be outstanding. He was still fairly young or whatever, but I kind of tend to think Paul Gasol is leaning towards being washed up. I don't see him making a big difference on that team with Noah and Taj Gibson and all those guys. I thought the Bulls would do better as far as giving Taj Gibson a starting role. Taj Gibson is a really good player. I don't understand why they are so gung-ho on having somebody play in front of Taj Gibson. He's a good post player. He's an outstanding defender, in my opinion, a big defender. And he has a little 17-foot jumper. I don't understand what. And he's an athlete. He's real athletic. I don't understand what the Bulls' hesitance to make him that guy. But as far as their starting power forward, but whatever. They signed Paul Gasol, $6 million. I don't think that's a bad contract. I just think Paul Gasol is leaning towards being washed up. Um, the big dog in the NBA, the King James, signed a 2-year, $41 million, 42.1 million contract, 2 years. Um, a lot of people were already talking. Oh, is he planning to leave? No, he's not going to leave Cleveland. Dude said in the letter he's there for the long haul to finish his career. He's not leaving. The point of this is because apparently the NBA is negotiating the TV contract again in 2 years, and apparently the contract is going to be a lot more than it was this past time. I don't know the full details to that. I don't really know the business side of the NBA as far as them and networks or whatever. I just hope that NBC can get a couple games in there, but I doubt it. Anyway, he's going to re-sign after that new contract because apparently that contract is going to drive up the salary cap, and he's going to be able to get a longer max contract, which makes sense. You sign for 2 years. If you plan to play like 7 more seasons or whatever, which he's already played 11, so that would put him at 18 seasons. He can get a max contract then, 5 years, and then finish off his career. That'll be his last contract, and have it pay off towards the end. Actually, that's obviously an intelligent idea to do that. Drawbacks are injury or whatever, but it's LeBron. He most likely won't get injured. But anyway, even if he did get injured, he'd still get a full max contract anyway, just because he's LeBron James. He's the best basketball player, one of the best ever, the best currently by far, easily. But yeah, TV contract, raise the salary cap, re-up in 2 years. Makes sense. And supposedly there's an opt-out after the first year, which will give him the opportunity, if they need to bring in another free agent to make things work, he can opt out, take a smaller contract or whatever. So it really makes a whole lot of sense all around. Don't get too scared by the 1 year because he didn't sign long term. It's only because he's smarter than everybody else. Trevor Ariza, now time for the smaller free agents. Trevor Ariza signed a 4-year, $32 million with the Rockets. Consolation prize. They didn't get Dwight Howard. They went after Trevor Ariza. He used to play for the Rockets before. I like Trevor Ariza. I thought he should have tried to make it work with the Wizards though. They have a nice young team. John Wall, Bradley Beal, Gortat, Nene Hilario. And he fit in there perfectly. He's the wing shooter from the corner and play good defense, man. I don't see exactly why you leave. I know they have the Otto Porter kid, but there's no reason to believe that he's gonna be a player in this league. At least he hasn't shown anything as of yet. I don't see why you opt out. I mean, not opt out. I don't see why you leave. I don't see why you don't re-up, especially when they were trying to re-up with you. But whatever, it's your choice. The Rockets, he will provide a good wing defender next to James Harden, which would be very good. That way, him and James Harden he can guard the bigger offensive threat from the two guard and small forward, and then James Harden can rest on the lesser threat because James Harden is a terrible defender, which is odd because he used to be a good defender when he was with OKC. And I guess it's just effort. It's all effort. Not too big on the Rockets, even though I love the Rockets franchise. Lately, I've been unimpressed with what they've been doing. I don't love the gimmick ball. I said this in one of my other videos. The 3-pointers and layups thing, no mid-range. I mean, that's not playing real basketball. I mean, the game, you playing the flow of the game. I think, and they don't play defense. They have Dwight Howard, and they don't play defense. They play no perimeter defense, except for Patrick Beverly. He's obviously a really good defender. But I just don't love the way the Rockets play. It's a whole lot of like European style. You're not going to win a championship like that. And as you can see, because they lost to a lesser Portland team. Now, keep in mind, I like Portland. Portland has a very hollow bench. After their starting five, they almost don't know where to go. They have Mo Williams and a piece or two, but their bench is hollow. Houston has James Harden. They have Dwight Howard. They have Terrence Jones, who I like very much, even though he's a bit undersized. They had Chandler Parsons, who's a very good player, as you can see. the contract that Dallas offered him, you have all these great pieces and you still lose to Portland, who really Lillard and Wesley, man. Portland's good too, but Portland's a lesser team than the roster the Rockets have, and the Rockets still lost. All right, it's because they don't play real basketball, in my opinion. They play a lot of gimmick ball. So, and I don't love that. So, but Trevor Ariza will help them. I thought he would have done better staying in Washington, but hey, when he chose Houston, it's all good. And Luol Deng is going to be the Kings' replacement, apparently. Miami is courting Luol Deng, offering him a short-term deal that will start off at $10 million a year. I do think it's a good... Luol Deng is a really good glue guy. He reminds me of Shane Battier, except he's probably a better version. Early in his career, though, not Shane Battier of the last couple years. Luol Deng, he will help them, but let's be honest, the Heat are done. They'll still be a playoff team or whatever. They'll be a first round or a second round and out team, easy out in the second round. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in Dwayne Wade at all. I think as long as he plays for that team, they really need to go ahead and offer him a front office job if they want to be loyal or whatever. As long as he's taking up cap space, that team is going to be easy out in the playoffs every year. Because no matter what you pay him, he's not going to be worth. Unless you pay him a Ginobili salary, $7 million a year, he's not going to be worth what you're paying him. So until they can get him off the books, get him a front office job, assistant GM, whatever you want him to be. But as long as he's a player and he's making superstar money or star money, it's not going to work out for you. But Luol Deng will help them, but not enough. And Isaiah Thomas, a curious deal, signed with the Suns. Now, Isaiah Thomas, I feel like, is a good player depending on what system that he's going to run in. He was putting up numbers for the Sacramento Kings, but the problem is the Sacramento Kings aren't winning games. So that begs the question, is he really that great of a player? I do think he will be good. He is undersized, like 5'6", 5'8", or something like that. Not that that necessarily tells the whole story, but I don't really see exactly what he brings to the Suns. I guess he's going to be a backup point guard, but they have so many point guards already. I currently like their backups. They're going to start... Goran Dragic. I can never say his name. They're most likely going to keep Eric Bledsoe. Now, if Eric Bledsoe, if the Heat can get him away from the Suns, that would be interesting. But I think they'll re-sign him. They have Ish Smith, which I really like Ish Smith. Now, he can't shoot, so that's a big weakness of Ish Smith. But he can push the pace. I hope if they get rid of him, I hope the Cavs pick him up in free agency and sign him to a small deal. I would love to see him as a backup on that team, pushing the break with LeBron and some of these guys. Ish Smith is no joke, man. He's a pure point guard. He just can't shoot. So I mean, it is what it is. Isaiah Thomas will be interesting. I don't really even know what kind of analysis to really say about Isaiah Thomas on the Suns. I don't really see the point, but I mean, obviously they see something that I don't see. Anyway, those are all the moves that are happening so far as NBA free agency. That's my video. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Comment on the video. It's an ongoing conversation. And also go and follow my website, betterthanjordan.com. And also keep a lookout for the podcast coming soon. I'm still working out some details, trying to get that out there. I want that to be a weekly thing. So we'll see how it goes from there. All right, see you next time.